Okay, so let me tell you about this one Saturday evening. It came so close to becoming a full-blown marital crisis, and the crazy part? It all started with a totally innocent question. That's when I realized I was basically sitting on a ticking time bomb, one that I had built myself. You know that feeling, don't you? Where, I don't know, a misplaced sock or a simple question suddenly feels like this massive betrayal, and you are just seconds away from completely erupting. And yeah, that was me. This wave of anger just washed over me, and it was so intense, it actually kind of scared me. I knew deep down it wasn't about the question he asked. No way. It was something much, much deeper, and I absolutely had to figure it out before I just lost it. So, picture this. We're just planning our weekend, super casual, and Arjun asks, "Hey, should we visit my parents this weekend?" And on the inside, I just snapped. All I could think about were like a dozen other tiny, totally unrelated things he'd done or hadn't done over the last few months. The question wasn't the problem, it was the match lighting the fuse. And that's when it hit me. I hadn't been letting things go at all. Oh no, I'd been secretly collecting them. You know, the promise to do the dishes he forgot, the way he was scrolling on his phone while I was trying to talk to him. Each one was this little grievance that I just filed away without even realizing what I was doing. So I started digging, trying to find an answer, and I stumbled on this fascinating psychological concept from the 1960s. And it's this metaphor that just, wow, it perfectly described what I was doing. It's called psychological stamp collecting. Think about it like those old trading stamps you used to get at the grocery store. You'd stick them in a little book, and when the book was full, you'd trade it in for like a free toaster. Well, Eric Berne, the psychologist who came up with this idea, said we do the exact same thing with our feelings. We save up all these little hurts and resentments until we have enough to buy ourselves a big, totally justified explosion. And this is how it works. It's this sneaky little process, right? Something small happens that bothers you. And you think, it's not a big deal. I'll just let it go. But you don't really let it go, do you? You kind of just pocket it. That's your stamp. And you do this again and again and again, and your collection just grows and grows. And then one day, someone asks a simple question about visiting their parents, and bam, that's the final stamp you need. And suddenly you feel completely entitled to cash in that entire book for one massive emotional meltdown. But it gets even more interesting. It turns out we don't just collect one kind of stamp. Nope. Depending on our own personal beliefs about ourselves and other people, we tend to specialize in collecting certain colors of resentment. And these are the different flavors. Bronze stamps are for collecting proof that, yep, you're just not good enough. Gray stamps, that's when you turn all that anger inward and just collect guilt. White or gold stamps are for proving that everyone else around you is incompetent. And me? I realized I was a major collector of red stamps. All those tiny moments of injustice and feeling disrespected that were fueling the slow-burning fire inside me. Okay, so your stamp book is finally full. What are you cashing it in for? Well, let me tell you, the prizes aren't exactly toasters. They're more like emotional get-out-of-jail-free cards. The most common prize, and the one I was saving up for, is a free, totally justified explosion. All those stamps you collected give you this feeling of righteous anger, right? You've been so patient. You've put up with so much. And now you've earned the right to yell. Now, if you've been collecting a brown or gray stamps, all that proof of how inadequate or guilty you are, your prize might be a justified depression. You've collected so much evidence of how hard and unfair everything is that you feel like you've earned the right to just give up, to just withdraw. And here's where it gets really, really powerful. Sometimes we unconsciously collect stamps to build a case for something we really want to do but feel guilty about, like leaving a job or even a relationship. That mountain of stamps becomes your proof that you've tried everything, and now you are completely justified in walking away. So, standing right there in my kitchen, feeling that volcanic rage building over a simple question, I recognized what was happening. I was about to cash in my huge book of red stamps, and I decided, right then and there, for the first time, not to. Instead of just letting it rip, I took a deep breath. I realized the explosion wouldn't actually fix any of the small issues that had been building up. It would just create a much, much bigger one. So I asked for a different kind of conversation. And his reaction was just surprise. Pure surprise. Not defensiveness, not anger, just genuine shock. He truly had no idea I was keeping a running tally of these moments. The things I was saving up as major evidence of injustice, he barely even remembered them. He wasn't the villain, he was just completely unaware. And that was the absolute truth. I was so afraid of being seen as petty, of making a big deal out of nothing. But the alternative, silently collecting all those stamps, was so much more toxic. So we made a deal, right then, to stop my collecting and to start actually communicating, in the moment. And this, right here, this is the most important lesson I learned through all of this. The solution isn't to be more patient or to get better at letting things go. The real solution is to deal with things when they are small and manageable, when they're happening right now. That's how you stop the pressure from ever building up in the first place. So, how do you actually stop? Well, you start by expressing those small feelings when they happen. You check in with yourself every once in a while and ask, hey, what am I quietly getting angry about? And you try to address the pattern. Hey, I've noticed this tends to happen a lot, instead of just waiting for one big event to blow up over. It's all about being proactive instead of reactive. When you really think about it, there are only two ways this can go. One path, the stamp collecting path, feels like you're keeping the peace in the short term, but trust me, it's a highway straight to resentment and massive explosions. The other path, expressing your feelings as they come up, yeah, it might feel a little harder in the moment, but it's the only one that actually leads to real understanding and, resolution.
So I'm going to leave you with this question. Take a second and think about your own relationships. At work, at home, with your friends. What's in your stamp album? What resentments are you saving up? What color are your stamps? And maybe most importantly, what prize are you saving for? Because it might just be a prize you don't actually want to win.